Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Online Plans. So today I decided that we're going to create a tag, and I'm hoping that other creators will kind of jump on it as well and kind of share their thoughts for all of these categories. But essentially the tag is the best of 2023 planner edition, and I have a few criteria ready to go. I believe it's actually 10. Let me just double check. Yeah, there's 10 different categories, and it's okay if you share two within the same category. In some cases, I do have two different ones that kind of fall into that same category that are equally excellent for different reasons, actually. So anyways, why don't we just dive right in? And of course, if you're brand new and we've never met, my name is Meshi and I'm the person behind Online Plans. We talk a couple of times a week on this channel, anything and everything, planning, journaling, stationery, all the things. The idea behind this channel is to kind of find ways to utilize the things that we have, not really go into overconsumption and FOMO, and really just being more intentional in the way that we're kind of consuming and using the things that we have. So if you love stationery as much as I do, then you would definitely love it here. So where did all of this come from is basically, I know that at the very end of the year, not only are we actively getting ready for the next year, making sure that we have all of our planners set up, we have our covers ready to go, and we kind of picked out what system will work for us, which that in and of itself is such a process for most of us. But it's really rare that we kind of sit down and reflect on what worked with each of the categories and sort of why. Because not everything's going to work for everyone, and not every category is going to be suitable for just one planner. Hence why some of us have multiple planners. So see where I'm going with this? So I thought that I would just kind of take a moment to recap the year, kind of take a look at what worked really, really well for me. Now keep in mind that this is only just my experiences. Hence why I'm suggesting that we make this into a tag so that we can kind of see everyone else's experience as well, which I think would be really interesting to see. But you know, I think that also like our preferences and our needs evolve as the year goes on. So let's start with the first category, and the first category is overall most flexible. So for the overall most flexible, I actually have two different planners that I would like to highlight for two totally different reasons. So the first one, I would like to highlight obviously the common planner that most of us are familiar with. And the reason why I chose this is because it's so flexible of how you end up using and utilizing the note pages, which is essentially like half of the planner. So all the way from, essentially from here onwards, as soon as we kind of wrap up the month of December, you have this huge chunk of the planner that you can use however you wish. You can do whatever you want with it, which, you know, I'm fully taking advantage of that because I do a lot of ink swatching, but I also do a lot of memory keeping in here. I was using this as a planner for a while. So because of that, I have to say that this is by far one of the most flexible planner systems that I have in place, because it has the capacity to kind of hold everything in one place. And the next system that I would like to highlight is its little cousin, the Hobonichi Weeks, which most of us are familiar with. And beyond the fact that your weeks are just so small and compact that you literally only have space for the essentials. But then the thing where the versatility really comes in is also in the notes section, where you can do this as bullet journaling, you can keep quick notes. You can literally use it for whatever you need to, and you can decorate it however you want. I've used it for writing out details of my sinking funds, outline of my videos, memory keeping, Costco shopping list. I mean, literally the possibilities are endless. So for that reason, I have to say that the overall, the most flexible systems has to be an all-in-one system. It has to be one of those where it's one booklet, everything's in here. You take it with you, you can reference it if you need to, and you're good to go. Let's move on to the next category, and that is what is the most compact system. And I mean, I have to absolutely give it to Hobonichi Weeks on this one. Even though I do have smaller systems, I do have the A6 size little Hobonichi Tacho. And while this is technically smaller, I don't find this nearly as flexible. And I don't find this as compact, because as soon as you start using it and you fill it, I don't find this as compact as the Hobonichi Weeks. I find that here things get really chunky, things can get really messy because it's a daily pages that you're dealing with versus a weekly pages. I feel like this one kind of takes the cake for me for this year. And I wasn't even all that excited about the Hobonichi Weeks at the very beginning of the year, but then something shifted about midway through the year where I really started to utilize it for its full potential. And then I think that's sort of where I really fell in love. So for that reason, I'm absolutely going to go with the Hobonichi Weeks, but like the close second, if I really need to highlight something, I would still have to go and give it to the Common Planner, only because size-wise, as you can tell, there isn't like a fundamentally significant difference in size, but I find that the Common Planner is just a little bit wider. So it's sort of like a happy medium between the Hobonichi Weeks and the cousin, the A5 size planner. Let's move on to the next category, and that one will be the best for budgeting. So the best for budgeting is actually not going to go to the Hobonichi Weeks or the Common Planner. I'm going to pull out my VDS planner for that. So this is my ring bound setup, if you're familiar with this. And honestly, for this year, I 100% have to give it to the inserts. This is a digital insert that I bought from Notiq, so it's a printable. And I will actually just pop an image here on the screen so you can take a look. But by far the most detailed and the most flexible when it comes to budgeting. For a little while, I was actually printing out, I was making them all printable where I had like all the information ready to go here. Okay, you guys, here's part 2 of this video, because I thought that when I made it to point 3, then, you know, I didn't realize that my camera completely cut out and I recorded the entire video, not realizing that I wasn't in fact recording. So, haha, joke's on me. So, that's all I wanted to say about budgeting and the budget inserts from Noted. I think it's absolutely the best. Let's move on. Now, next up is number 4, and that is the best all-in-one. Honestly, I have to be honest with you guys, my best all-in-one system 100% has to go, and this is only my opinion, so keep that in mind. It has to go to Hobonichi Weeks only because it kind of houses everything I need. I don't really have like large needs anyway, so it has the perpetual calendar, it has the monthly, where I can keep track of everything. I can pre-plan as much as I need, but I love the fact that on the weekly, whatever I can't fit here, I 100% have the space to kind of just put it in the back, and I can reference it at any time, which makes this whole thing just so much more seamless, because for the most part, I don't keep track of that many things, or I don't need a planner for that many things. So the fact that I have it all in like one booklet, for some reason I do believe that this is going to be the direction that most of us are going to be going into, where like you have everything in just one booklet. Let's move on to the next category, which is the best for journaling. Now, this is going to be a twofold answer, because I do believe that there's different forms of journaling, obviously. And I could talk to you about the Traveler's Notebook. I could talk to you about, you know, all of these different creative journaling. For me, the two that has made the biggest difference has to be the Hobonichi Techo and the A5 notebook from Midori, and they serve totally different purposes. So for the Hobonichi, it was 100% the daily pages that made a world of a difference, where I would do daily day in the life updates, memory keeping, where sometimes I would write a lot, other times I would keep it fairly minimal and clean. Definitely gave me the creative outlet that I was really craving, but I didn't feel the pressure that it needed to be you know, all decked out all the time, which is sort of like, I can just keep it fairly simple, or I can go a little bit heavier on the decor like I did towards the end. So the sense of versatility has definitely made it really fun. It made it a really fun and enjoyable process for me. I'm not so strong, and I think I mentioned this a few times, I'm not so strong on updating the weeklies. Some of my weeklies look really cool. Some of them are totally blank and empty just because I didn't take the time. This, I don't know, sometimes I really love this layout and sometimes I'm just kind of annoyed by it. So I'm going to do my best to keep up with the weeklies, but I also don't add this massive pressure that it needs to be done every single week. So that's kind of how I feel about it. Now, as far as detailed and emotional processing and more mental health related journaling, where you literally just write, you know, state of consciousness, you write whatever is sort of like a full-blown brain dump, or you just sort of feel like you need to kind of write out your feelings. This is where Midori comes in. I kept the decor very, very minimal. I didn't really want to make it about the decor. I wanted to literally make it about writing. So a lot of times I just dated a little sticker and a dot, and that's pretty much all it needs, in my opinion. I love that the pages, I'm not sure if you can pick it up on camera. Let me just bump up the lights here. So in case you're not familiar, the pages are cream colored. Here's the comparison to Hobonichi. As you can tell, this is significantly whiter than this. So the pages are more like this beigey cream color, and the dots, it's a dot grid notebook, and the dots are blue. So here it is zoomed in. Stunning, right? But like the whole idea behind it is that the yellowish tone to the page gives it more of a calming effect to the eyes, and the blue, it kind of highlights it, but it's still very soothing. It's not too stimulating. And I don't find it to be overbearing, which is really lovely. The bottom of the page is perforated, so whenever I'm done with the page, I just kind of tear it off. So as far as indexing is concerned, it just becomes a lot easier to kind of keep track of things. I don't know, I love the simplicity. I love how elegant it is. There's a lot to be said about this journal, where it's literally, it's being used for the way that it was intended for, I feel. Like that's kind of the vibe that I get from this. So for that reason, both of these are absolute winners for the year 2023 in my books. Now let's talk about the most hyped. This honestly will not surprise anyone, in my opinion. I think that the most hyped planner for 2023 has to go to the Common Planner for multiple reasons. The fact that it initially came in a B6 size was one of them. The fact that it mimicked the setup of Hobonichi, but yet it was almost like a more sophisticated version of it, where the font was very elegant, very clean, very straight to the point. There wasn't too many spreads at the very beginning of this planner, where it just felt like we're wasting space, or we're just adding it for the sake of adding it. So in a lot of ways, it was a really refined system. It was a bit more refined than what we see presented on the daily pages, or on what you see being presented in a Hobonichi Cousin. So I do believe that, especially when there were like multiple, I'm not sure if you remember, because I remember vividly when I initially bought this was actually the imperfect release that was there, because everyone else was waiting so long for the initial release, and then there was a second release that also got sold out. And when she has posted the imperfect version, that also got sold out pretty much that day, within half a day. So that's just a testament to how incredibly hyped up this product was, and anything and everything that Catherine has decided to release from that point on. There has been multiple pre-sales that she has released even this year alone. But for 2023, I would have to say that the Common Planner definitely takes the cake as far as most hyped planner that has come to the planner community, that has been really similar but yet different than what we have seen up to this point. Now let's talk about the next category, which is the most budget friendly. So actually, let me just move this. Now, again, with the most budget friendly, I would have to include at least two within this category. One of them will have to go to the Hobonichi Weeks. Out of all of the planners that I own, this has been the least expensive to buy, and also to buy accessories for it, I might add. But after this, even though the common planner is a close second, I believe that there's only like a $3 difference between the two. I will just pop the prices on the screen so you can take a look. Beyond that, my next budget-friendly option as a close second would have to go to the inserts that you can buy from Traveler's Notebook. This is though with a caveat, because this is assuming that you already have the system in place. So if you have the Traveler's Notebook, like if you have the full system ready to go, the inserts, like these inserts, I believe are $14. These ones, the ones that are from Baumkuchen, are a little bit more expensive, but still less expensive than if you were to buy the full system of the Hobonichi Weeks. But beyond that, I would have to say, if you don't have a Traveler's Notebook, but you're initially just putting everything in place with no accessories, but just simply the Traveler's Notebook, that's still going to cost you more than if you were to buy a Hobonichi Weeks. And I believe it is a really similar price to the A6 little brother. So that's it on the inserts. If you have the system, I think this is going to be the less expensive out of everything. But I believe price-wise, both the Weeks and the A6 Techo are going to be really similar in size, in price. But these guys are like, even like the common planner is going to be really similar in size, but this is by no means the least expensive out of the bunch. So a lot of it will also kind of depend on your budget, and also it will depend on what size preference you have. Because another way of looking at it is, if you have a cover already for a ring-bound planner, then you can also just buy downloadable inserts, and then at that point that becomes more budget friendly. So just keep that in mind, that there's going to be options for all of you. Right now I was more looking at, like, if I wanted to put in one system in place and everything's within that, so I don't have to separately purchase multiple things for this to be a functional planner system, then I would have to give it to the Hobonichi Weeks. Okay, let's move on to the next category, and that is the best minimalist. Best minimalist setup for me 100% has to go to the common planner again, only because I'm just going to show you both the monthly layout, anything from, I mean, like the whole planner just reeks elegance, if you ask me. So the font choices, let's get you guys zoomed in. So between the font choices to using lighter colors with the grid and not really highlighting anything extra, the outlines are also lighter, all the way up to the weekly layouts. I'm trying to find you a section. So between just not being wasteful with space and the layout, to being fairly minimal with the font, minimal with the calendar layout, sidebar is long, it's wide enough, but it's not so wide that it's too obnoxious. There isn't any wasted space, but there also isn't anything extra printed on the page that really does not belong there. And obviously daily pages, they're blank pages. We've kind of talked about it here. There is a couple of dots about midway through the page on both sides. So if you wanted to create a division midway through or halfway through, one way or the other, you have the option to do that. So all of these small little details, in my opinion, both add to the elegance and the simplicity of the entire planner. So for that reason, this one is the win. Next up is best overall planner. For me personally, honestly, again, and I keep like remixing the same thing that I'm saying again and again, it has to go to the Hobonichi Beast just based on how I've been using it for this year. And to be really honest, if I wanted the best overall as far as what really brought me semi-planner piece, it has to be the Hobonichi weeks in combination with the VDS planner. Only because my entire schedule went right into the Hobonichi weeks. I basically kept track of something very basic. I added minimal decor, but I was given that freedom to add the decor that I really needed, which was really fun for me. And then I started using the daily pages where I really went on a town. It's not filled with a lot of trackers, but it's filled with a lot of notes and a lot of information that is relevant to both my clinic as well as how I run social, as well as, like some of it has like a Costco shopping list, or figuring out sinking funds, or you get the point. So I was using it for multiple different purposes, and it's so easy for me to reference that it's hard for me to hate on this planner because of how functional it is. Granted, could I do this in the common planner? I probably could, but it wasn't as small and easy to kind of move around with. And the reason why I really enjoyed the VDS planner, honestly, a lot of it has to do with both the weekly layout where I can kind of write a bit more detail, as well as obviously the finance bundle, where I finally felt like I'm making progress in putting in writing all of the different income that I have coming in and managing the constant changes that take place with my income. So if you are self-employed just like me and your income changes from week to week, then you would probably really love this. But for me, best overall, it has to go to Hobonichi weeks. And last but not least, best for travel or being on the go. Now, best for travel, again, not going to be a surprise. I'm going to give this to the Hobonichi weeks, but I have to add a caveat. I'm also going to add the little A6 size notebook from Midori. I didn't really talk too much about this. It's not something that I show on camera because it's not something that is really relevant, but it has been a tremendous, oh my goodness, this has made such a big difference. Just having this small, silly little notebook. I actually found this to be a lot more useful than any of the Fields Notes notebooks. It's a lot more sturdy, just the way that it's put together. But here's how I was using it that kind of made it a big difference. First, I would just kind of journal about how I really wanted to manage our finances. This is all about money, this whole planner. Then I figured out how I wanted to set up our sinking funds and how much to set aside. Then I would add little notes of any small purchases that I made that I really wanted to remember, or like payment plans that I created. And then eventually I just started keeping our sinking funds here so that I can, again, look back. This, in combination with this, would actually come with me whenever I would go to the bank, whenever I would do any form of updates, just because sometimes if I'm doing like multiple transactions and it does feel like between the mix of cash and the mix of just digital transactions, it does get mingled up and confusing. So for that, it allowed me to kind of write that out here on a separate space that has like really not much to do with my day-to-day planning. So it was a little bit different, but I feel like I'm so grateful that I bought this notebook, because for that, oh, like if you know financial planning and budgeting, I always kind of looked at finance planning as like 3 layers. One is like your day-to-day transactions where you kind of pay your bills. One is figuring out like allocating cash for your day-to-day transactions, such as the sinking fund and creating savings plans. And then the third is all about investing. So because it's like this multifunctional system that I have to have in place, I can't just take like a ring-bound planner with me and then hope that, you know, it will have all of the answers that I need. Like I need something like a book-bound system where I can kind of reference it whenever I need it. Okay, enough rambling. This is basically it. This is all I wanted to share with you guys. First of all, I hope that you have enjoyed this this setup and this format. The full tag, I will leave each 10 category in the description and also in the comment section. I will tag a couple of creators that I think would also enjoy this tag, but literally anyone that feels called to share your top 10 for 2023, I would really love it if you guys shared it. It would be so much fun to kind of see the different preferences from everyone. But thanks so much for watching and for hanging out with me. I so appreciate you guys. I hope you had a wonderful 2023 planner season, and just keep planning, keep journaling, keep doing all the things, and I cannot wait to see you guys in my next one. Bye.